I'm Joe from the Nocturnal. How are you doing, Tony?
Hey Joe, the name of your website is so cool.
Thank you. We talked last year for season one, and moving into season two. Like, what are you excited about to develop in this season?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of after season one, we kind of thought Benedict thought he kind of taken care of his brother and rid the world of this anxiety, and then come to find out he reinvents himself as like a self-help guru selling happiness, and then kidnaps us, and we're just like, what? So I love that turn, but I mainly love this contrast and difference between the idea of happiness and real happiness. And I feel like in today's world, there's just the selling of this instant happiness, like these highlight reels and everything. But Benedict represents the whole spectrum of emotions. Like happiness is the ups and downs and all that stuff. And I love that.
I love that, and I love how, especially in season one, there's themes that really resonate with us. Going back to the theme of happiness, like how have you found that in your life, or how have you what are some of the lessons that you're learning in life to move
Uh,
closer to happiness?
I know. And I love that question because the route to happiness is, I think, very different than maybe what we're preached. Meaning, a lot of times it's like all these great things to get happy, when in actuality, I'm getting through stuff, getting through the low places, experiencing all the emotions, and then the joy of getting through it and the elation and being with people after you haven't been with people,
Mhm.
walking through the pandemic, and then experiencing the happiness of being together. That whole journey is the equation, I think, if that makes sense.
That's no, that's truly beautiful. And hopefully, as we're on this journey, we kind of find steps closer together
Yeah.
in that journey. You played both these characters, both this kind of good guy who's kind of our guide for our heroes, but also you play the kind of misunderstood, frustrated, kind of evil brother. And you've talked about, as an actor, I'm sure you find traits in each of these characters. What specific traits do you go to for each of these characters within Tony to kind
Oh,
of
yeah, yeah, yeah. I love that question. Well, Curtin, I don't have the best posture, so Curtin really helps me with my posture, which is great because Benedict is like he's very hunched and he's kind of carrying the weight of the world on him, whereas Curtin is just like always like this. So I always have to watch that. But like, there's little things. One being Curtin doesn't really listen to people. He's always talking at people. So if he's in a conversation, it's like the other person's not there. He's just talking to them. Whereas Benedict is really involved and is listening, is empathetic,
Mm.
and you can see the difference in the eyes and the posture of the connection points. So that's a big thing I go to.
Mm. And one of the beautiful things that I find about the show, and I've heard you talk about it too, is like how there's not like a supernatural element. Like the kids are the superheroes,
Yeah.
and with the empathy and their intelligence and all these different characters. Going to Tony, like you, what do you think your superpowers are?
Ooh. Oh man, that's a great question. I tend to I like to, like, if I'm in a conversation with somebody, it's almost like there's a little bit of a discernment I have of maybe something that they want to say that they're not saying, and hopefully getting to maybe a deeper level with somebody. I enjoy doing that.
Hmm. Well,
But
I
let's
hope.
get into it, Joe. Let's get into your deep.
Yeah. Don't have enough time here about to wrap up, but we're excited for people to be inspired by this and hopefully find a few steps closer to happiness in
Yes,
their life.
yes. Thanks,
Uh,
Joe. I appreciate you
yeah,
taking the.
absolutely. What's up, guys? I'm Joe from the Nocturnal. Mystic, I'll start with you. I talked to you last year for season one. Tell me about when you heard about season two, and what was your reaction?
I was really excited. I was also kind of nervous because there would be like big expectations from the season one viewers, but it was really fun. And, I celebrated with my family and all.
That's fantastic. And Marta, what about you? What was your reaction about season two, and what were you really excited about when you first heard there's going to be season two?
Well, I was really excited that we're gonna film in USA, in Los Angeles, because I've actually only been to USA before. Only one time, I think I went to New York, and I've never been to Los Angeles. Oh, I've been to Los Angeles when I was auditioning for the Mysterious Benedict Society, and I really liked Los Angeles, and I was really excited about this, and I was really excited to read the script, and I was wondering what we're gonna have, and when I first heard that we're gonna travel around Europe, I was really excited.
That's fantastic. Both you guys as actors and your characters get to go a lot of cool places. As on set, or like what are some of the things that you guys were really excited to see, or like was really fun to see while you're traveling? And Mystic, you can go first.
We filmed on location a lot of the time, so that was really fun. We went on the Queen Mary for the boat scenes, and it was kind of creepy sometimes. I think I saw a couple of ghosts, but mostly it was fun. And we filmed on like a ranch. There were a bunch of horses, and it was really fun.
That's fantastic. Marta, was there other sets that were really cool?
Oh yeah, I really like the set when we were at Universal Studio, and they have those buses for tourists to see the sets at the Universal Studios, and sometimes when they were going by, we were just waving at them, and then they were saying, "Oh, this is the mysterious Benedict Society right here," and some people were recognizing for example, Kristen Shaw, who was number 2, they recognized her when she was walking by.
That's super exciting. And I mean, it's so cool to see how this is kind of growing. And I would love to hear more about your characters. So Mystic, tell me about getting back into, character and the mindset of Rainey. And he's such a unique person. Like, yeah, tell me about that.
Yeah, it's great to build on him instead of having to, introduce him again. So that was really fun. And he goes through a lot of emotional changes as well as the other kids. And he has like an outburst. I don't want to spoil too much, but it'll be really fun to watch.
That's fantastic. Marta, tell me about Constance and how we've got to see a lot of her in season 1 and see her change and see her kind of become a little bit more kind to other characters. Tell me about how she changes in season 2.
Yeah, I think season 2 would be really really cool because it has really changed a lot of changes, and if you want to see Constance change, you have to watch season 2. And I think Constance gets more comfortable in the company, and of course she doesn't want to show it because she has her mask to feel comfortable and she doesn't want to show her real self, but I still think that she inside that she gets comfortable in the company.
Wow. Well, we're excited to see where your characters continue to go, and it's going to be a fun season 2. What's up, guys? I'm Joe from the Nocturnal. How are you guys doing today?
Good.
Great.
Awesome. I'll start with you, Seth. We talked last year, and a lot has changed since then, both for your characters and and going to the new season. And for you, tell me about your character. Where's Sticky here at the beginning of season 2 compared to beginning of season 1?
Definitely more confidence in himself, and definitely more of a social person. As we could see in season 1, Sticky's more reserved and kept to himself. But over the course of season 2, we can really see Sticky develop his confidence in being able to take action.
That's awesome. Emmy, you're a character had a really kind of happy ending and kind of, goes through a lot of struggles and growths in season 1. Tell me about, especially at the beginning of season 2, where's your character at?
Well, it's been I don't actually know how long the time skip is. I don't remember. I'm sorry. But Kate has for a while now been living with Milligan on a farm. So you find her at the beginning of the season, sort of, kind of enjoying being on the farm. And then, of course, there's the call to adventure, which happens at the beginning of every show. And she's definitely enthusiastic about it.
Well, we're excited to see what happens. Tell us about when you first heard about season 2, happening, right? So at the end of last year, you guys didn't know, or end of last season, you didn't know if you were going to have season 2. Seth, I'll ask you first, tell me your reaction and maybe where you were when you first heard there was going to be season 2.
I don't remember where I was, but I do remember I was really happy. You know, it was great getting season two, and getting to work again with the great cast again. So, and I was really excited to see where the script was going to go for season two. So.
Hmm. Emmy, tell me about like after you guys, heard that there's going to be season two, you guys start like rehearsing and start filming. Tell me about that feeling and the excitement there.
Yeah, it was super exciting.
Awesome. Cool. And I want to know about the sets. So like the sets, especially in season one, are really beautiful and really creative. Emmy, what was your favorite like set or maybe location that you were able to film at on this new season?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked. I love the sets. It's probably my favorite part of the show. I loved getting to film in Benedict's study again. It's I think they rebuilt it, didn't they? Didn't they like
Yeah,
rebuild it?
they built an entire replica.
Built an entire replica of it. It felt like I was like back in Canada again. It was like the first season over again. I'm sorry. And yeah, it was just really cool to be back. I think like original set pieces for the new season, there was one where we were only really filming, I think it was at a part of a train station. We were only really filming the one part. So they built it in like this like plains sort of area. And I thought it was really funny because it's this like tiny part of what would be assumed to be a much larger like sort of station. And then it's just nothing. Like you can't see on camera very much, but just being there was pretty fun.
That's super cool. Seth, what were some of your favorite sets?
One of them being Union Station. That was really cool. Getting to film over there. In LA. And the second one, I wouldn't say it was cool, but definitely, you know what, Jeff, definitely because it was like exciting at the time, the Queen Mary. Definitely really scary at the same time too.
Okay, cool.
There would be times like where we would like have to go to the schoolroom and we would like have to walk by ourselves all the way through like the halls and like the dark rooms to get like back to the schoolroom and stuff like that. So
And to go some chill. So
yeah, it was a an experience, but that was one of probably to the most my favorite sets.
Were you guys returning to a lot of the same sets or going to new places, or where were you most of the filming for season two?
Studio. I would say studio, right? I think
we did a lot in the studio. We were on location quite a bit. We didn't film in any of the sets that we filmed in last season because of last season we filmed in Canada. And this season we filmed in Los Angeles. So we had like anytime it was like a returning thing, it was like a new place or it was like a replica.
That's awesome. I'd love to hear more about your characters going into this new season. Like, what are you excited about for your fans to see? For the characters to the journey they go through. Tell me about what you're excited for fans to see.
I'm overall just excited to fans to see from my characters just the growth, mentally and physically, how he changes throughout the season.
That's super cool. But thank you both so much, and we're excited for this new season. And thanks for taking time. What's up? I'm Joe from Nocturnal. We spoke last year, but I'm just excited about season two. How are you guys doing today?
Good. How are you? Good to see you.
I'm doing wonderful. So I'd love to start with asking about working with these just brilliant kids who've just put on amazing performances. Mamea, I'd love to ask you first, like, what was it like working with them behind the scenes? And yeah.
Oh, it's fun. It was wonderful to see them again, see how much they've grown. I ended up being neighbors with Mystic. So I got to see him a little bit more than everybody else at times. And just to see them juggle school and this, there are a couple episodes where, it's very kid heavy. And so, just knowing like the lines that they had to learn and the the adventures that they're going through in the scenes while dealing with school and all of that. I just applaud them. They're very admirable and very talented, as you said. Yes.
Gia, how was it working with these kids? And is there any certain memories that like stand out of that just impressed you on how talented they are?
Yeah, of course. There actually brings to mind one night we were shooting, and it was I think it was a night shoot, and I think these guys maybe hadn't done a night shoot before. They were so excited. Mystic had his ukulele, he was playing, Seth is singing and rapping. The girls are around dancing. It was just this huge party. Come 11 o'clock, I went away for a bit, came back, everyone's in their chair like this. It was hilarious. And they had so much more work to do, but that excitement and that kind of, child energy, it's just so much fun to be around all the time.
And that communicates so well on screen in terms of how beautiful and creative and how smart the show is. Tell me about just maybe the costumes and the sets and like the different things that really stand out to you when you think of like how it's unique working on this set compared to other projects you've both done.
It's so much fun going into fittings because it's like, ooh, what are we wearing this episode? The whole production team is amazing, and it's the perfect. It just, none of it, one without the other would make our story a little bit less than what it is, and so it's just the perfect collaboration of the whole team. I'm sorry, what was the second part of your question regarding that?
I think that you answered it.
Because I'm like, and I feel like there's more I want to say about it, but yeah, it's just there's like, even like, there's just so much detail with the set. Like you turn around and like there's this new piece of furniture that is just like, it's just amazing. You just want to like take a piece of it home or be like, ooh, this is how I want to decorate my apartment one day, get some ideas from it. It's just so witty and brilliant and just perfect.
That's beautiful. Gia, tell me about, the sets and the costumes and some of the things that really made it unique acting on this set compared to other sets.
Yeah, I think it's so lovely every time we get to walk onto a new set. I love walking into, a new room that they've just built or created and being able to look around at all the details. Like the work and the heart that goes into this show is like really, really incredible. I think that's also one of the things that makes it such an appealing show for multi-generational families, because, the aesthetic it's designed in a way that they're drawing from the 60s and the 70s. And so I think that there's a nostalgia there for the adults who are watching the show as well. And then of course, the story is just so timeless. I think it's something that anybody can get into. So it's got all these beautiful elements that make it, mysterious and lovely and wonderful.
Well, that's awesome. Well, best of luck on season 2 and all the other projects you both are working on. And thanks so much.
Thanks, Joe.
What's up, guys? I'm Joe from Nocturnal. How are you guys doing today?
Good. How are you?
Hey, nice to meet you.
I'm doing wonderful. I love the show so far. Season 1 was just beautiful and smart, and I put it as like one of the best things I've seen in terms of kids TV or movies in a while. I would love to get into like the writing process. So you obviously have your writing based off these books, but tell me about that collaboration between you two and like all the other writers.
Yeah, it's really it's a great collaboration. And so basically, Matt and I got sent these books. We immediately fell in love with them. And in the long process of setting up the show, we finally got to get it going and sort of found our collaborators and partners, Todd and Darren, who then the 4 of us become sort of a leadership group. And each season we had a writer's room. And I would say the thing that's most, Matt and I come from the world of features where it's just the 2 of us, right? So the idea of having all these wonderful people who were really trying to pour everything into this big cauldron that was then going to be, then Matt and I were going to like find the right spell to cast out of that cauldron, was just kind of a really amazing collaborative experience. And you're kind of getting the benefit of a lot of, we always encouraged in the writer's room and with all the rest of the crew, to like, we were like, this show is the home for your weirdest ideas, your most kind of the stuff that wouldn't fit anywhere else. This is the place for all that stuff. And I think you see that in the show.
Mm. And Matt, how do you keep that? Like, you have all these ideas coming in, and how do you sort through like this works for this show and this works for this scene, and also keep it so consistent with like, oh, this is kind of what we've grown to expect from the show?
Oh, I think, like Phil said, that there's a guiding principle to the show, and there's an aesthetic that everyone kind of gets used to in terms of what would be like Benedictian or what would not be. And it's usually about ultra specificity and delight and just something a little bit off. And so people, the people we kind of collaborate with, we spend a little time talking about our world, and we have photo research and all this stuff, and we have the books, of course, and the previous scripts. And so like everyone slowly gets on the same page aesthetically, and then it's just like seeing how everybody else expands it and what they bring to it. It's an exciting process.
Mm. And I love to hear about, that's how you're kind of thinking of it from the leaders. And also you both have been working together for a long time. I'm sure you have disagreements, and you start,
never
trying to figure things
Never.
out. How do you still, work together after all these years and still like figure out how to fight through those disagreements and come to something that's beautiful?
It's funny because we really do, like, we wouldn't, when Matt and I are together working, like we argue all the time, but we don't really ever argue in front of anybody else, except for my wife, who's also our director and also a partner in our company. So we have a company called Family Style, and it really is a family. And so Matt and I are kind of like brothers. So we know that we can kind of hash everything out together, because we know that we're both going to be there at the end of the day. You know what I mean? So I feel like it's a really interesting process for us. It always has been of just, we really in the end honor and respect each other and each other's ideas. And I always joke that, but it's not really a joke, that when I get most mad at something Matt is critiquing in one of my ideas, it's because I know he's right. That's why I'm mad, So, but we have we've been working together now for how many years? 30 years more.
Mm-hmm. So. That's awesome. Matt, is there anything else that has made it work for through this show specifically and through the years?
Interesting because I think that Phil, everything Phil said is true, except he's the one usually right, and but I think it comes like when we argue, it's always we know what's going on underneath, but there's a mutual respect that's always there, and I think that is what we wanted to translate to the show, and the way the kids, the characters of the kids are so different. Constance is so much different than Rainey, who's different from Kate, and different from Sticky. They all think about things a different way, but they respect each other's viewpoints, and it's kind of like classic improv. It's like yes and, as opposed to negating, and that kind of listening and building off of things, and just a base of respect is kind of what we want to kind of have as a floor for these kids.
Well, as a viewer, it comes through really well, and we're just excited about season 2 and potentially season 3. And thanks guys so much.
Thank you.
Awesome. I'm Joe from Nocturnal. What's up, guys?
Hi, Joe.
Well, I want to start with, how do you? I just love every part of the show. And I love how it's so like smart, but also so grounded. How do you balance that between, keeping these smart and, things that characters are talking about that like kids or adults don't even understand what's going on, but also keep it so grounded that we're able to relate with them?
Yeah, I mean, we want the show to really celebrate intelligence and brightness and being smart at the same, because a lot of times, especially in current times, being well-educated and scientifically minded isn't necessarily rewarded or respected as much. But at the same time, these are kids going through what all kids go through, and these are adults going through, what kinds even though they're not actual parents, they have parental roles with the kids, so they're dealing with sort of the parental issues and the family issues that we all go through. And it's our goal to can keep things grounded and keep the comedy very grounded too, so things aren't getting too over the top and broad.
Todd, to elaborate on that, like, were there a lot of times, like, how did you guys like go back and like think research even like some of these characters have talked about, or know some of that comedy is going to work? Like, how do you guys think through that?
Well, there's a lot of risk, right? And it's wacky. And sometimes on a different show, you'd be like, you can't write that line of dialogue. That's like so weird. No one will understand it. But we love the idea where, like, and you said it, Joe, you're like, wait, what is that? You might have to look up a word after a show. And, it's like, we're not here to educate anyone, but as Darren said, celebrating intelligence is such an important thing. And it's part of the, usually kids have superpowers at this genre of television show. So this is a very unique show in that it's the kindness, it's empathy, and it's intelligence. That's their superpower. And I think in a way, that's what makes this show very special among kids, because you don't see that very often at all. And it's really a joy to write. It's really, really, truly is.
I would love to hear more about the inspirations behind it beyond the books, but like, were there ever like film references or other art references that while you guys were creating, you guys kept bringing up? Because there's a lot that like I kind of seen in it, and like, oh, this is kind of like this, but like in a more Disney and beautiful way.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, if you're a fan of Wes Anderson at all, you can see the influence of that, and all of the filmmakers that influenced him, a little bit of the Coen brothers, and making sure that the comedy is very dry and the characters aren't making quips to each other. That kind of goes in. That kind of goes in together with that kind of Wes Anderson kind of vibe. But other than that, I think it was just our goal was to make the show look very striking and feel like we're entering this different, place, and not like everything else that you see on TV.
And like having characters, like really quickly, like the idea of they're funny, but they're not trying to be funny. They're not telling jokes. Did you see the premiere yet, Joe? Have you seen the first episode?
No, I've seen all of season 1, but I haven't seen season 2 yet.
Well, you'll see there's these great things where you'll catch someone, they're like, oh, you just made a joke. There's this funny thing where Kate's like, oh, stern to sticky, and he like didn't even know it was supposed to be funny. And like that, like the idea that people aren't cracking jokes to us and are just funny human beings make it so much funnier. It's like unintended humor versus like down your throat kind of a thing.
And I love about this, it almost respects the kids' intelligence to like understand and to enjoy this. And I feel that's so hard to find. Like I loved watching especially Disney movies, or like a lot of Disney growing up. And then I feel like in a lot of current television, there's not that. How did you keep that like respect the kids' audience intelligence throughout like every episode and through every part?
Well, there's a lot of jokes that we, not jokes, but concepts and lines, but they usually end up becoming kind of part of the comedy of the show, which we're thinking the adults are going to get, and we're not worrying that kids will necessarily understand it, or maybe they'll ask their parents what that concept is without it being, one of the things we hate is kids being really precocious in a way where kids don't talk like that. I mean, we want these kids to speak in a very intelligent way, but the way those actual characters would, and they're not just sort of like spouting the words of like an adult and like winking. But putting that all together, we want, if there's something that is a bizarre, obscure reference and you don't get it, you should still be able to understand the scene.
Well, I love it. Thanks so much for taking time, and I'm excited for season 2 and hoping for the best.